everybody. Welcome to T.O.'s Roadhouse. Good to be back with you this week. Drew Parker in the house,
What's
baby.
up? How you?
My neighbor. I'm good. I didn't realize you were so damn close, man.
We out here.
Yeah, we're out here in no man's land. Of course, the city is steadily moving this way.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Fastest growing parts of Middle Tennessee. I mean, what in the world?
Yeah, I think so, man. We were just talking before you got out. You know, you live not too far up the road from me, but 109 used to be a 2-lane road with a 4-way stop and all that stuff. I mean, it's all changed over the last 5 years. It's drastically different than what it used to be.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, but we're so close to town. I mean, I can be down on Music Road in about 30 minutes, depending on traffic. You know,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Fortunately, songwriting sessions for whatever reason don't start till 11 a.m. nowadays, and so I get to miss all the traffic. Although I'm trying to change this, I want to write at 9 o'clock.
Oh, you're a morning guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so you love the radio tour then?
Just
love the radio tour.
Just
Getting up 5:30 in the morning to go play songs for people that could give a crap with us. I can say that.
You can.
Yeah.
I'll let you say it for me.
You don't have to say it. Hey, it's a necessary evil. There are some good people out there. There are some good. There's some not so good people too, but that's true in everything in this world.
Yeah,
it is
for sure.
So when did you move out to this part of town? You're in the next county over, but we're real close.
Yeah. I moved out here in 2021.
Yeah.
Built a house out this way back in 2021, but I moved to Nashville. Be 9 years next week.
No kidding, man.
9 years. I've been here 9 years.
It's a long journey, isn't it? That overnight success just takes so long to happen.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep. It's been good though, you know. It's been a slow and steady grind, but you know, it's never, I feel like it's never like really leveled off or gone down. It's just been like a slow build over time, and just continuing to work on that and keep building on that.
Did we meet several years ago before Luke really popped? Because I know you wrote several things on that first album. And I think we met because Luke came and sang. I had an album called Good Old Days, and Luke did If the World Had a Front Porch with me. And I was thinking that you might have been with him and the manager when y'all came to the studio. I don't really remember.
I don't remember. I feel like I was there for that. I know I did like a turkey fry thing like a few years back.
Yeah.
I mean, when I like kind of first got to town, so maybe we met there at the.
So how many songs did you have on that first record?
On the very first Luke record, I just had one called "Lonely One."
Okay.
And then on the next record, I had 2 or 3. I've had ever since the first one, I had one on that, and then I've had like 2 or 3 on all the records since then, except for the Fathers and Sons one. I didn't have anything on that. Because I was on a radio tour when he was writing for that record, so I missed out. Yeah. I know, I missed out.
I mean, that's got to be an amazing ride, man, being able to hear your stuff on the radio for the first time like that. When it pops, I mean, I know the feeling. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, me and Luke, we met in a bar in Rome, Georgia. This was 10 and a half years ago. I wasn't even living here.
Yeah.
He had been here like 6 months. I got a call from a guy on a Friday. He was like, hey, my opener just kind of bailed on me. How about coming and opening the show tonight? I'll give you $100. And I was like, all right, I'll be there. Who am I opening for? Well, it's this new guy out of North Carolina. His name's Luke Combs. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know who that is, but sure. I was just wanting to play. I mean, any opportunity I got, I was taking. And me and Luke just hit it off. He had just recently moved to Nashville at the time, and at the end of the night, he was like, man, you should come to Nashville and write some songs. And I was like, I would love to do that. And so then started my kind of journey. And I would drive for 9 months. I drove back and forth from Georgia to Nashville writing songs with him and some other friends at Ray Fulcher, folks that just we formed a friendship. And yeah.
Man, there's something going on in the water down in Georgia, man. There's been a whole lot of massive stars that have come out of Georgia in the last few years.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, just even my whole childhood was that, you know. Alan Jackson, Travis Tritt back in the day.
Yep.
I
mean, Florida's close. I mean, there's so much great music down there. Florida, Alabama, Georgia. Yeah. I mean, just all through that area.
I don't know what it was prior to like in the 90s. I don't know, you know, there was a bunch of artists coming out from down there then. And I don't know what's responsible for that. But I think my time coming up, there's a promoter down there named Bradley Jordan And I think he had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Because he would find new artists that he believed in. He would kind of help them play shows and grow a fan base. And then when they were were selling a lot of tickets, he'd bring in the next new guy that he believed in. And he was just like one in, one out.
He was more in the development game.
It was, but he
cool.
was just a promoter. He just was a fan of people and he wanted to help them out. He manages Ella Langley now.
Yeah, we were just out with Ella and Riley the first part of the year. She was out on that package with us. She's getting some legs underneath her too, man.
Her record is phenomenal.
Yeah, she's good. She's very talented, man. It was fun touring out there with them. The whole Riley thing was really cool. You had a chance to meet him yet?
Oh yeah,
he's a good dude.
Yep,
he really is.
Yep.
He's kind of reserved.
Yeah.
But
I think we all can be to some extent. I can be. I'm pretty shy until I'm like. Yeah. Just get until you say something shots. That makes 2 shots. Shoot 2 beers. But yeah. Shots.
No, I can't. My wife told me I have to go to dinner tonight. So yeah, I'm on a short leash today, boys. Yeah, I get in trouble, man. I can't. You know how it is. You married?
I am married with 2 kids.
See, that's how that happens.
Yeah.
I was talking about how rough she is on me when I'm driving. You get the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just, at that point, when it gets too bad, you just let them drive.
How old were you when you got married?
Oh, I was already living here.
Yeah.
So I started dating my wife about 11 months, 10 months, 11 months before I moved to Nashville. But when I met her, I was like, hey, I have a dream to do this, and I'm going to do it. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I have every intention of moving to Nashville. And I was like, I would love to, we could still date, and just see where it goes. And we did. And we got married about a year after I moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
And that was, we got married in 2016. So I've been married 8 years.
Relationships come with a lot of challenges in this business. I mean, how have you all adapted to it?
I would, it took a minute. I think the hardest thing for me was and you have to give them grace in these moments, but even I would have the thought of how does she not think that me leaving every weekend to go play shows, I'm not making any money. At what point does she go, hey, this hobby that you have, that you just enjoy going and doing, at what point is she going to be like, hey, you can't just be going and doing a hobby every week? Because that's what it probably looked like.
Yeah.
Was just a hobby because I wasn't bringing any money home. I was just going to play shows because I wanted to introduce my music to people, and fortunately she never was like that. But at any moment I was waiting for her to just be like, hey, you can't just be going and doing a hobby. I mean, it'd be like a dude just going fishing all the time.
Well, there's a lot of them that do that.
I mean, there are.
Yeah, they're out there.
And my wife let me do this, But I think she believed in me as much as I believed in myself.
It's tough on them too. I know. You think about it. If the shoe was on the other foot and you were staying at home taking care of the kids, I don't know if I could do it. It's. I mean, think about it.
Yeah. I know. I think about it. We've got a 4.5-year-old little girl, and we've got a 2-month-old at home. So,
and that's life changing, man. Yeah. I mean, it really is. One of the things I've learned too. Mine are 21 and 23, and. At some point, it took me a while to realize that my dream wasn't their dream. And as they get older and they start to realize that dad's gone all the time, it causes problems with them. Yeah. I mean, you really have to work hard at being a dad and developing that relationship with them. We have our struggles. I mean, they've gotten better as they've gotten older and they see it from a more adult perspective and they understand a lot more about it. But those teenage years are rough, brother. I mean, it comes with a lot of challenges because they didn't sign up for it. They were just born into it. And you think that they would, because when I was dreaming about all this stuff as a kid, boy, it'd be great to be the child of a superstar, be able to do all this stuff. But when you're the kid and people treat you different, I mean, it comes with challenges for you kids when they're growing up. I mean, it causes a lot of problems.
Yeah, I mean, and I think about for sure, for sure. And I think about that a lot. I mean, what does that mean in a few years? You think about it, and part of me goes, "There's no way that I'll be able to say." And the hard part is, you want to be a good father and a good dad, not just a great provider.
Yeah.
That's the struggle. is because you're doing this to provide for your family, but you're probably slacking on the being a father part.
And we're almost pre-programmed as men, where you feel like you're responsible for the provider. That's your role that you're supposed to do. And I feel like sometimes we neglect some of the other more maternal, paternal things that we should be doing, especially when you're detached and you're gone all weekend long, and you're not going on stage at 11 o'clock at night, and you're not going to bed at 2 or 3 in the morning. Then you come home, you got to flip back around. It comes with a lot of challenges, man. It does.
For sure.
And you're trying to live two lives.
For sure. But, I mean, being exhausted and walking in the door on Sunday and your daughter runs up to you and says, "Daddy, can we play?" Your immediate response has to be yes.
Yeah.
But that is the last thing you want to say. You know what I mean?
I want to go lay down.
I want to go take a nap. You know?
Come snuggle on Daddy's chest and let's take a nap.
Oh, that's what it's turned into, and I don't get away with it. But she's like, "Daddy, can we play?" I'm like, "Yeah, we can play nap time." Let's see who can keep their eyes closed the longest.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to adjust to, man. What are some of the other challenges that you're facing being a young artist and growing with your own career and songwriting and all that stuff? Scheduling and just the travel. I mean, what are some other challenges that you're dealing with?
Just being gone in general. I mean, that's just the tough part, and also there's just so much out there. So,
what do you mean, so much out there?
Well, there's so much music. I mean,
got you.
You know, like, I mean, I'm playing in it. I got a headline show in Atlanta this weekend, but there's probably multiple people playing in Atlanta. Country music.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? So, like, how do getting people to choose to come to your show as opposed to somebody else's? I mean, it's tough. So, like, making those trips on the road worthwhile, to being away from your family. I mean, that's like kind of a hard struggle, is like, especially now with like social media, it's like, do we have to play 150, 180 shows a year? I don't know. It's like, I think those are the decisions that are tough. Is like, okay, do I miss this for this or do I not? You know what I mean?
I do. Absolutely, I do.
I confirmed a radio show, I don't know, 2 months ago. And then my daughter got her schedule from school, and she had a Christmas program at her new school. First ever time she's ever had a Christmas program. And it's on the same day that I confirmed this radio show. And I'm like, I'm going to do what I've got to do. And I called them, and I'm like, hey, I can't do that. And fortunately, they were understanding. At least I think they were. But that's a part that like weighs on you. It's because it's like, well, I'm probably going to hurt myself career-wise maybe by calling back and not doing this.
But a big old hit fixes all of it. I mean, you're got to prioritize the right things, man.
For sure.
That's the human side of it.
100%.
Absolutely. Because you're never going to get that back.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I missed way too many of them over the years. Goes back to that song John Anderson had called "I Wish I Could Have Been There." You remember that years ago? Mm-hmm. It's all real true, man, when you're living the life, you know, and you're traveling all the time. It's a lot to juggle. So as far as, you know, working harder and working smarter and not harder, what are the things that y'all are doing to try to get you to that place where you can be more selective and work less dates? And because so much of it is about getting your brand value up out there in the marketplace, because you're competing against not only everybody else in country, but you're competing against everybody in pop, and you're competing against the football games and the tractor pull and the fairs and festivals. All you're competing against everything, wrestling and wrestling and wrestling.
Yeah, all of it.
I mean, but it's how do you do you do a ton of social media? How are y'all trying to break through?
You know, I mean, I'm 33, so I kind of fought the TikTok thing for a long time. I mean, I've got a 4.5-year-old little girl. It's just, TikTok just didn't seem like the place for a dad to be like singing into the camera, right? But my whole goal when I moved here was to one day provide for a family doing what I love to do.
Yeah.
No matter what that meant, at whatever level, just pay the bills, provide for my family, play music. And I kind of had to come to Jesus with myself, and, you know, the TikTok thing was blowing up, and I really wasn't doing anything, and I kind of just had fought the beast for so long, and I finally gave in, not for any other reason than for my family. Of like, if I said I would do anything that it took to make this happen so that I could make whatever happened for my family, then I need to do this. And I completely bought in, and started bringing. I've got a content guy that's with me on the road all the time, in town with me all the time. We go shoot stuff in town, and I think that was a game changer. But also finding someone like him. His name's Mitch Wallace, by the way. Finding someone like him who I enjoyed being around to shoot those things too, where they're not awkward or anything like that.
Or you're not being
actually
cheesy.
Enjoying it. Yeah.
Or you're doing something that's uncomfortable. It's like, I'd never do that. That's not who I am. I mean, it's fine because some of it is a little left-footed in a lot of ways. And and you can get pushed into doing some things like, that's not who I am.
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
It's a lot of bouncy things going on.
For sure. Exactly. Like finding out.
So do you like shooting things?
Right. Yeah, finding somebody who understands who you are and what you're willing to do and kind of what helps promote your brand of music too, was super important. So finding him has made that a much more enjoyable thing.
What were you doing before you came to Nashville and started writing professionally? What was your craft? What were you doing?
So I've been on the road pretty much my whole life since I was like 10. So I grew up singing Southern gospel music.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I did that my whole childhood pretty much and been on the road then. But I actually have a degree in radiology. And so I got a degree in that in Atlanta years ago. And I started working at a hospital in my hometown of Covington, Georgia. And did that for a little while. And when I kind of made up my mind, really after meeting Luke, made up my mind that I was going to move to Nashville, I started applying for jobs up here. And I got a job at Summit Hospital in Hermitage.
No kidding.
Yep, taking x-rays. And that was in 2015. And I got that job and moved the next week. And that was 9 years ago next week. And so I did that. And then I made a deal with my boss there at the hospital that if I ever had a number one song, that I would come work one more shift, and then I would quit. And so March 22nd of 2020, a song I wrote called Homemade for Jake Owen went number one. And I called my boss, and I said, hey, I got my first number one. I'll be there tomorrow, and then that's going to be it. And she was like, well, congratulations. She was like, yes, we agreed on this. So, yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. So the very next day, March 23rd is a Monday. I'm in my bedroom. I worked like second shift. So I would write songs during the day and then go work second shift at the hospital. And so the next day was Monday. This is in the middle of COVID. So we were writing on Zoom at the time. So I was in my bedroom, putting my scrubs on, getting ready to go work my last shift at the hospital. I mean, life was awesome. I mean, I was celebrating my first number one, something I worked so hard for. And about to go work my last shift at the hospital, quit my job. My wife walks in the bedroom while I'm putting my scrubs on and tells me that she's in labor. So then I had to call my boss and say, hey, I'm on the way to the hospital, but it's not to work.
Wow.
So to this, I mean, I still technically, I guess, owe her one more shift at the hospital. But
You know, that's a pretty drastic life change. You know, you've spent all the time getting educated, you know, going to college. I'm sure there's a 4-year degree, you know, very intensive and everything. And then just to walk away from it and chase the dream, man. Even,
it is.
I mean, that's a scary thing. Even with a number one record, you still got to back it up.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that's
what's funny too, because like even through what little success I've had since then, every 2 years, I still re-up my license just in case. I mean, who knows when? You never know when this could all end. You know what I mean? And I would hate to know that all those nights of long, painful studying just went to waste, and I could never go back to it if I had to.
Yeah, and there's always a need for medical personnel out there. I mean, I think since COVID, there's a lot of people that got out of the medical field. My wife was a surgical nurse when we met, and she got out of the medical field long before COVID. But it seems like it comes with its own challenges too, just like everything else. I mean, it's overregulated, and there's just a lot of things that you got to deal with being in that corporate world.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, but it is. I mean, it's a pretty high stress job.
So was radiology what you went in to do, or was it just a kind of path that you kind of picked as you kind of went through it?
It was just something I picked.
Yeah.
I knew I could probably do it quick. It wasn't.
I mean, you could go ultrasound, you could go into MRIs or radiology.
Yeah, I would do like like heart catheterization. So we would like put stents in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So did that, like took x-rays, did cath lab, and then like special procedures. So like draining fluid and stuff like that.
What do you have to
All
do
the
to
nasty
keep your
stuff.
license up every 2 years? What's required?
So every 2 years, I have to do these continuing education tests. So basically, buy a book and then take a test on that book.
So you just have
But it's
to
an open book test.
You just have to update yourself on any changes.
It's just like, yeah, it's just. I'll be honest. I think it's a money grab, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of crazy to me. But basically, you're just, I don't really
Just
know.
keeping your
you just have
license
to keep
up.
your
It's
license
just
up.
literally keeping your
Yeah.
license up.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is by taking these, getting these CE credits that you get like through a book and then taking a test on that book. And now they just made it now where every 10 years, and I just did it last year, every 10 years you have to go do a legit self-assessment test where it's basically retaking your radiology registry.
Holy crap!
And you can fail it, but depending on how good or how bad you do, then you have to do extra CEs. So, like, I mean, dude, I hadn't worked in radiology and it's been 4.5 years now, and I did it last year, and I took this self-assessment test, and I mean, I made like maybe a 70 or 75
Made the cut
on
line.
it,
Yeah.
you know, but then they like go, well, here's all the questions you missed, and we need 40 CE credits on this section of stuff because this is the kind of stuff you missed about.
Whoa.
So then you got to go get credits on that stuff. So that's like a new thing. Every 10 years you got to do that.
I think after 75, you should have to retake your driver's
I was
test.
just about to bring up the driver's license.
That's what I think. Because I see some people on the highway that don't need to be driving.
Oh, man. I'm with you 100%. I think I got caught behind somebody on my way here.
I was just thinking, I'm glad I don't have to retake the whole book test every
almost
single
did it,
time
didn't
because I missed as many as you could possibly miss without failing it. Boom, in there.
Why does that not surprise
Been
me?
driving hey, I was a great student, but that driving test, nobody wants to read all that. So I just
Yeah,
went in
I'm
there
with
and I
you.
winged it and got it.
Were you part of did you get your, maybe I'm crazy, but part of me thinks, didn't you used to get your driver's license at school?
I did. I took driver's ed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the teacher had that passenger seat with the brake and shit over there, so he could stop you.
Yeah.
I got thrown out of the car for trying to cut a donut on a gravel road
You
because it
did?
was front wheel drive. Yeah, I got in trouble.
This was you did this in
in school. Yeah, we took driver's
that's
ed in school, and the driver's
Yeah,
ed teacher
that's what I
was
thought.
also the math teacher, but he threw me out. He's so mad at me. I tried to cut a donut out of making a turn on the gravel. We lived in a little town of 1,100 people, so it's farmland.
yeah.
So we'd drive down the bottoms, and I tried to spin that sucker around. Boy, he was so pissed at me.
Now, why am I not surprised?
I guess it's just what you do, baby. So growing up in Georgia, where you were, what was it, a small town?
Yeah, it's not so small anymore, but growing up it was between Atlanta and Athens.
Yeah.
Between Atlanta and Macon. It was about 45 minutes from Macon, 45 from Atlanta, 45 from Athens. So
Right there
on-
around Travis Tritt, man.
Yeah, right there on I-20. So,
Travis and Kenny Rogers.
but yeah, it was good growing up there.
A lot of, when you were a kid, y'all have bonfires? I mean, what was,
Oh yeah,
I mean, we grew up in a town where there was nothing to do, man. We had
Yeah.
to make our own fun. What
Yeah,
y'all do with your
same.
kids?
same. I mean, field parties in the middle of nowhere.
Friday night football games,
Friday night football.
going out to
was
build a
it.
bonfire at the
Yep,
game,
sitting in
sneaking
the-
some beer.
Sitting in the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
Waffle House. I mean, all of it.
How much has it changed?
It's grown up a good bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't think kids do the same thing as we did. My kids.
I hope they don't.
Oh yeah, yeah, some good memories. We'll talk about that later. So you like shooting things? Do you? Oh my goodness. Yeah, but I mean, I hear rumors that there are kids that turn 16, don't even care about getting their driver's license. I couldn't get my driver's license fast enough, but I was driving on the road when I was 14. I was driving a hay truck when I was 12 years
Right,
old on the
right.
highway. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's the way it was back
Yeah.
home. I started driving young.
Yeah,
But nowadays, kids don't care, man. As long as they got that phone.
I know.
Take that phone away from them. That's a whole deal, though.
I know.
Yeah. You ain't
Yeah.
got there yet, but you will.
Yeah. No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I would give anything if we could do the music business in 2024 without social media. Because I'm telling you, if it weren't for social media, I would probably have just a flip phone.
Yeah.
I don't.
John Anderson still does. I'm not kidding you. So does Joe Stampley. We just had Joe Stampley on the podcast not long ago. Joe don't even text. He don't even know how to use GPS.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's why I do this podcast. A large part of it is because I don't like to do all that other stuff, but this lets me do my social media where we can chop it up and use it in all different ways. It keeps me from having to do all that other stuff because I don't like it either.
Yeah.
You know, it's just.
And this is
but there
awesome.
there are people that get into this stuff that'll post 10 times a day. I mean, it's just constant. I can't do that.
I can't either.
I'd rather go get on my tractor.
I'm not
going
to
to
do that. How about that? I'm not going to do that.
I mean, there's a lot of other things I'd much rather do. I got stuff to do. I need to go work on the pond pump and stuff. I need to work on my aerator. I got things to do.
That'd be good TikTok content.
Oh yeah,
working on the pond pump.
We got to work on the pond pump. You out on the road a lot?
Yeah.
I'm still doing.
Well, I've been out
170, 80 days. God, it's a lot. I can't even imagine.
That's crazy.
I can't even imagine doing those kind of numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out. I was on tour with Luke Combs earlier the front half of this year on his stadium tour, so that was awesome. We wrapped that up about a month ago.
Get used to that catering, don't you?
I know.
Yeah.
Gosh,
and then you get back out in the fair and festival season.
I know.
Yeah, it changes.
I mean, it was, and his catering is. I'm sure all those big tours are awesome, but his is, man, it's just incredible. But yeah, you go from, I mean, just luxury breakfast to daggum carton eggs, and you know what I mean, like.
Oh yeah, it changes. Back in the day, there was one of the big companies that we worked for when we did all the fairs and festivals. We called it the Mud and Dust Tour. And you would they would go to the convenience store and get you some chicken under the heat lamp. You get the box of with chicken breast and a couple of potato logs, and that would, here you go, boys. I got you some heat lamp chicken.
Heat lamp chicken.
Heat lamp chicken. It could have been there 3 or 4 days. You just don't know.
It was.
Yeah, you just don't know. It just stays right there, just baking, just keeping dry and hard. Oh yeah, it's just so good, man. Life on the road. It's so glamorous.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
If people only knew.
But there's such a charm to it, man. I still love getting on the bus. I still love going out on the weekends, man. I still enjoy it. I love the grind of it. I usually start burning out about the end of the year, man. Yeah. Are you going to take some time off this year?
Well, I took a little bit off. Me and my wife had a baby about 2 months ago, so I took some time off then. Fortunately, it lined up where I didn't have to miss any shows that I had pre-planned. The due date was on one of the Luke shows originally, but the baby came 2 weeks early, so I didn't have to miss anything. So we had plans in place for if I had to skip town quickly, but no, it worked out perfect. But I've got a little bit of time off. I've got shows here and there the rest of the year, but really just writing a lot of songs right now.
That's good.
I mean, my first before I moved to town to be an artist, to sing. I mean, singing is my favorite part of the music business.
Yeah.
And that's what I love to do. I got here, discovered that God had kind of given me the gift to write songs too. I had never really, I had dabbled in trying to write a song, but it wasn't until I got here that I truly found a love for it, and started writing songs. And so that's still kind of a massive part of what I do, is try to write songs for other folks too.
How does your spirituality fit into what you do now? And it comes with its own struggles too. Idolatry and all the things we're exposed to in this business. How do you cope with all that?
You just got to stand strong and know who you are. That's kind of this record that I just put out. The title track's called Camouflage Cowboy. It's a song I wrote by myself, and it kind of talks about those struggles that I faced, trying to not hide my faith, but hide the struggles that I go through, and try to be this, to my wife and to my kids, I'm bigger than what's happening, right? Just trying to hide the struggle that you're going through.
Yeah.
And trying to put a tough exterior on the things that are bothering you, and you don't talk about them. I'm a pretty quiet guy, so, but I've gotten to the place where I'm comfortable talking about, whatever it might be. And I think that's super important. It's finding not just your wife or your significant other to talk to, but having so much comfort in your friends, and being bro, here's what I'm going through kind of thing. And honestly, a lot of that I kind of discovered last year. I hate to keep bringing up Luke Combs, but he's kind of part of all the stories. So I was on tour in Europe with him last year, and we were out there for 28 days and just on his bus. And I mean, we had conversations after conversations after conversations. I mean, and you just get to a place where you're just comfortable talking about anything with your friends. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where the whole camouflage cowboy thing came from.
I think being able to stay strong in your faith with so many temptations around you in this business has a lot of challenges. My wife is my rock, man.
Yeah,
she saved me. She's kind of pulled me from the abyss more than once.
Yeah.
It's been tough.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never truly struggled with much stuff on the road other than just like trying to. My struggle has always just been trying to stay as close to the Lord as I could on the road. You know what I mean? Like, you get on the road and it's just like the Bible that I pick up when I'm at home, pretty much every morning or something, that goes out the window when I'm on the road. I mean, that's the struggle that I face, that I have like a conviction about, of like, not maintaining what I was doing at home, and then you get back home and then that's the struggle that I face, of like trying to keep that, to stay this rock for my family when I'm even on the road.
I want to go back and talk, since we're talking about faith. I grew up Methodist, and I was very involved in the UMY. What was your denomination?
I was Baptist.
Yeah, so we're real similar.
Yeah.
But we had a very strong youth, and I was very involved, in the conference council. I was president of the conference council, so I did a lot of ministering when I was young, and had a full ride to Hendrix College, which is a Christian university, to go into biblical studies and everything, and it just wasn't where my heart was at.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was led there. And I know that you were doing quartet stuff, right?
Yeah.
Early on. So music was a big part of my stuff too. How did, as you were going through singing and all that stuff, that's a lifestyle, getting pulled away from that, man.
Yeah.
I struggled with it for a long time, making peace with all of it, because I had a lot of pastor friends that I truly love and respect. And I'm falling off the path more than once. It's been a journey, but God's always had his hand on me. I've always felt that way. But it's a tough thing to balance, man, because there's so many things that come at you in this business that you don't even realize till you get in it.
I think the biggest thing for me that I struggled with, and I think that you're kind of hitting on, was I always, for the longest time, cared what those folks thought about me singing country music. Like when I left kind of Southern gospel and started singing country, the only thing that like bothered me was like, what is Pastor so-and-so at this church that I sang at, 5 years ago, what's he thinking about me singing country music? And then I had this whole like thought, I'm like, I feel like I've been called by the Lord to do this. This is not, why do I care what, and that was like a struggle that I dealt with. But once I kind of, I truly feel like this is God's plan for my life, is to
I understand,
to be a light in what can be a dark world. And so once I got over that, it was, I've never truly struggled with that much anymore.
But even the content of the music, I love singing songs about drinking and heartbreak and cheating, and that's country music to me. That doesn't mean I want to indulge in that. Yeah. Of course, some of it I do. Some of it I don't indulge in anymore.
Yeah.
But I still struggle with all that stuff. But you wonder about what you're putting into the world. I still love heavy metal music too. Some of it is very dark lyrics and all that stuff. It drives my wife insane. She says, just makes me in a knot. It soothes me. I just find it doesn't bother me the same way it does. I like the hard rock and stuff. Yeah. But I love some gospel stuff too.
Yeah.
I listen to all kinds of things, from jazz to blues and R&B and Christian stuff. I listen to a little bit of everything.
Yeah, same.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's I think, I don't know. I've never. I just truly feel like that the Lord has called me to do this, and that's that's what I find my peace in. Is it hard, and do I struggle? Yeah, for sure, with like maintaining that. But I think my fans kind of help me do that, to know that I'm encouraging them in a certain kind of way, is encouraging to me, to know that kind of what I stand on. I think the hardest thing that I've struggled with is when is feeling genuine. And maybe, I don't know if you've ever kind of gone through that, like if you're telling a story, or do you ever feel like your thing is a facade, or like, do you worry that somebody else thinks it's a facade? Like, I know for sure that, like, where I stand on my faith, but do people go, well, that's his thing?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think, and I don't know, I think sometimes I care too much what people think, maybe.
I've kind of gotten past a lot of that. I carried a lot of guilt for a long time with success, financial guilt toward my family because I was doing so well. I gave a lot of vehicles away, I gave a lot of cars away, but I just carried a lot of guilt, and I've adjusted that. I think once I started a family and started coming out of all that, my perspective changed because I realized that my priority was taking care of my family and not caring what anybody else thought.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to get there because I was so focused and intense on playing the game and doing everything I had to do, politicking the right way and being in the right frame of mind all the time and being everywhere and doing everything for everybody. And you get to a point that you just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's our thing. I mean, you can't. My brain never shuts off, especially from the songwriting aspect of things. Like,
I'd grind my teeth at night. I had to have work done because I'd play drums and my teeth long, just ground my freaking teeth down. It never stops.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
I do that too. Maybe that's a creative thing.
It is. It's a very big creative thing. It's just I've got a groove going on all
Yeah.
the time. I mean, it never stops.
Yeah.
It's subsided some as I've gotten older. I'm not as intent about it. And maybe it's some of it as I've gotten older and my body slowed down, got more comfortable with where I'm at. I don't feel like I'm chasing anything or I have anything left to prove. But there for a long time,
Yeah.
I mean, you still got a lot that you feel like you have to prove,
Oh,
man.
for sure, man.
Yeah.
It's so funny too. I was literally just telling somebody this, like, I know that there's people that have, like, counted me out for so long, and even the success that I have had is not good enough for me, for them. Like, I need one more thing. Like, it's always the next
validation
thing for them, and I don't know why I care, but I do, because I just want to prove them wrong. Although I feel like deep down inside I kind of have, but, like, that part ain't even good enough. I need just a little bit more to keep digging in on them. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that really ever goes away because you always feel like there's something left that you have to do, something left. I think it does subside as you get a little bit older, but most of it, I mean, when you're playing the radio game, you're so programmed to be in that headspace and you're fighting it all the time. Until you get out of that, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
At least I don't think it is.
Yeah.
But it's cool that you prioritize your family the way that you do, man, because that's a hard thing to balance. It really is.
Yeah.
Do you minister when you go to church on Sundays when you're in?
No,
I've never been comfortable doing it. But,
I never have. I have no problem I wouldn't say I preach on stage, but I don't mind, telling a little bit of kind of my testimony, or kind of, I have no problem sharing my faith in front of an arena or stadium full of folks. I mean, it doesn't bother me because it's just who I am.
What are the things charity wise? Because with a faith like that, I know you feel like you're led to give things back. What are some things that you are passionate about that you dedicate yourself to?
I mean, really, just the church in general. Trying to find time to be involved in that. Kids. I mean, I've got 2 kids of my own, so anything to do with them, and really just the less fortunate, which you've.
Man, there's so much stuff that I've learned over the years. You've been a part of my turkey frying stuff, and we're in our 19th year now. But I'm telling you what, as we've grown more into it, you don't realize that so many kids, when they're out of school, don't eat.
Yeah.
There's the homelessness and the hunger and the population, not just here in Middle Tennessee, but all over the country, is terrible.
Yeah,
and it's gotten worse in the last 10 years.
My wife was a school teacher, and during, like, COVID, because kids weren't in school, you don't realize that's the only meal they're getting.
That's right. And that's awful to think about. I never experienced that as a child.
I mean, that is crazy. I know.
To think in this day and age that there's a child going hungry somewhere right now.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It is.
And how do we fix it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good people. Well, that's what I found. There's so many good people here in the state of Tennessee, and I think our infrastructure is good. There's so many good programs that try to reach out and help. There's street preachers that go out and feed downtown every week. There's great facilities that have just healthcare and dental care and all these things. I've learned a lot through this journey that we've been on.
And you've done a great job too.
It's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, it's
it
awesome.
really has.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll be able to come be a part of it again.
I would love to.
It would be awesome. Luke actually sang at my turkey fry 3-4 years ago. Yeah, I think it was before COVID. No, it wasn't.
It was right when Sunday morning, right when that song came out.
Yeah.
It was right when that came out. Yeah. It was right before. No, it was.
That was before he owned the Wild Horse.
Yeah.
That was it, because we'll be back at the Wild Horse this year, which is now Category 10. That is Luke's place that's getting ready.
Since we're talking about this, I got to ask. So, do you know that Luke Combs has a song that references you in it?
Yeah. I do.
Okay.
I played it in my walk-in music some.
Really?
Yeah.
Love that. I wrote that song.
Did you really?
I did.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah, those are fun things.
Yeah.
That just means I'm getting old.
Yeah.
That's all that means.
Appreciate it.
Who are your big influences country-wise? I know you had a lot of gospel influences. Who are your big influences when you're growing up?
Oh, man. I mean, Lord, that list goes on and on. Keith Whitley is the greatest singer to ever live.
There he is right there.
Really?
That's Keith.
Is that your,
That's my Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore country music. Who else on there?
George Strait, George Jones, Keith Whitley, and Merle Haggard. And I have a huge list, too. I mean, I could go, the list is endless. But those are my four guys.
Pretty good.
And Randy Travis could have been on there.
Yeah.
You know.
Randy is definitely one for me. Alan Jackson, Travis Tritt, Merle Haggard, massive Merle Haggard fan. My dad, and I am too. I'm a huge Willie Nelson fan, but my dad was a massive Willie Nelson fan growing up, and so he was always one. It was cool too. I got to open for Willie. I did a weekend run with him. I don't know, 2 years ago.
You didn't go on the bus, did you?
I didn't have to. But my dad, it was like out in Texas, and my dad and brother flew out there. But growing up, my dad, there was a ball cap that was in the top of my dad's closet, and I'm telling you, this thing was falling apart. And as a kid, I remember asking my dad, "What's this ball cap?" It was like it said Roadway on it, but it had like a emblem for a company called Roadway, I believe. And they were like containers, like on like a ship. You ever seen like those shipping containers? It says like Roadway on it or something. It was like a hat for that, which is an odd hat. But it was in the top of my dad's closet, and it was falling apart. And I had asked my dad when I was a kid, I'm like, "Dad, where's this hat? What's this hat? Why do you have this hat? Whatever. Why is it falling apart, and why have you not thrown it away?" And he was like, "Well, I'm a big Willie Nelson fan." And so he had gone to a Willie Nelson show with his best friend from high school, and there was a guy on the front row that had a cowboy hat on, and Willie was wearing this Roadway hat. I think it's Roadway, something like that. It was blue and orange. I mean, it was an ugly hat. But at the end of the show, Willie had taken the hat off, put it on the dude, and took that guy's cowboy hat and was wearing the guy's cowboy hat at the end of the set. Well, at the very end of the show, Willie took that cowboy hat and just threw it as far out in the crowd as he could, and my dad caught the cowboy hat. Well, the guy on the front row come back, and he was like, "I want my cowboy hat back." And my dad was like, "Well, I want the Willie Nelson hat." And so they switched hats, and so that's where that hat came from. So when I opened for him, I got my brother to sneak it out of the closet and got Willie Nelson to sign it.
How awesome is that?
I mean, this is
that's cool, man.
It's like 30 years later.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you tell him the story? Were you able to? Did you able to have a conversation with him?
I did have a conversation with him. I got to tell him the story, and then I got to sing "Will the Circle Be Unbroken" with him at the end of the show.
Very cool.
It was an awesome experience.
Isn't it great to be able to meet some of your heroes like that, man? I got a chance to tour with Strait. I got a chance to do a lot of shows with Merle. I actually went to Merle's house out in California before he passed away. Did you ever have a chance to meet Merle?
I did not. No.
Only person that I didn't get to meet that I really wish I would was Keith.
Yeah.
Because Keith was gone before I got here. Yeah. But I know Lori well. I know Jesse Keith well. I've been close to the family for a long time, and they're dear friends of mine.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there's one person that I wish I could have got to know, it was Keith. Because Carson produces Zach Top. Carson's a writing buddy of mine. I've known him for years, and he's told me so many stories from when he was playing steel guitar with Keith and all that stuff. I sure wish I could have met him.
Yeah.
Who's on that list for you that you wish you could have met? There've been a lot of folks passed away in the last 20, 30 years.
Merle would be up there for sure.
Did you even get to meet him?
No.
Wow.
Waylon would be up there.
Yeah.
I mean, really all of them, man. George Jones. Massive George Jones fan. I'll tell you one that I wish I could have never met. had a conversation with him on social media was Daryl Singletary.
No kidding.
I mean, I was a massive Daryl Singletary fan. Do you know a guy named Greg Cole?
Yeah, I know Greg Cole.
He produces Daryl. So Greg produced a.
Didn't he just do John
record.
Daly's new record?
He may have.
I think he just did John Daly's new record.
Greg produced a gospel record on me when I was a kid.
Wow.
I say a kid. I was like 17, 18 at the time. And Greg Cole had done a record on me, and I found out that he had produced Daryl Singletary. And so I got done with that record, and then one day I just sent Daryl like a message on, I don't know, Twitter or something. And I was like, hey, man, I just did this record with Greg Cole. Hope one day I get to do another one, and if I do, I would love to sing a gospel song with you. And it may not have been him. I'm going to pretend it was him that messaged me back and was like, man, I would love to do that. And then, unfortunately he passed away. But I was a massive Daryl Singletary fan.
What a great voice, man. So my fiddle player, Joe Caverly, played on several of those Daryl Singletary records. I mean, that's him on a lot of the sessions.
Wow.
The first time I heard Zach Top when Carson played me the stuff, when he produced all this first record, I could hear Daryl Singletary, I could hear Keith Whitley and Ricky Skaggs. I mean, prominently, the little nuances in his voice, you can hear that in there. I mean, that's just, it thrills my heart to hear that traditional sound coming back.
He's a stud, man.
Yeah, he really is. You had a chance to meet him yet?
Yeah.
Kid's solid, man.
Yeah, he's
a smoking guitar player, too.
I know.
God dang.
He's good, man.
Yeah.
He's good.
Screw that guy.
He's good.
Screw that guy.
I know, right? Yeah, I don't have half the talent that guy's got.
Yeah, man, but you're a talented dude, man. You just got to get your piece of it, man. Just figure out what it is. And just keep doing what you do, man. You got your priorities in line.
Yeah.
It's quite the journey, man. I tell people this all the time. For every one of us that make it in this business, there's thousands of kids that will never have a shot, never get their record played on the radio that are really talented. So I mean, we're very blessed to get a little piece of it, whatever piece the good Lord chooses to give us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, it's been quite the journey.
Yeah, and it's been fun. I've enjoyed every bit of it.
Yeah, and I got a feeling it's just going to get better for you too, man. There's a lot of road in front of you. You got a lot of stuff left to do. What you got going on back there, Junior?
Man, I've been obsessed with watching these anatomy videos on YouTube lately.
What
and
part
you
of
talking
the
about this X-ray stuff? No, like when they like cadavers and stuff, where you actually look and see what's really in there. It's crazy. So, X-ray question for you: we can go funny or we can go gnarly, just mangled. What's the funniest thing you've ever seen inside of someone, or what is the most mangled break that you've ever seen?
Oh man,
Mangled.
all of it.
Toy cars.
I saw. I was trying to find something the size of it.
Oh, God.
That Yeti cup right there.
That's a big cup.
You. I've seen one of those on an X-ray.
Male or female?
Male.
Oh my God!
Fell on it in the shower.
Of course he did.
Fell on it in the shower.
All right.
I've also seen roofing nails.
Wow.
Roofing nails.
Yeah, in a dang-a-lang.
Up in there. Oh, in a dang-a-lang. He's trying to get that tuning fork thing going with it.
I'm so confused.
Multiple too. That's the crazy part. It wasn't just one roofing nail.
So I don't know if you've been to one of them stores, but they got that section where there's these big ramrod deals, and you can stick them in there and smack it like a tuning fork, apparently.
What?
And it allegedly. Now I ain't doing none of that.
Yeah, that'd be what I'd do.
What the hell you doing?
Scott, what do you think about this?
Nails up in there.
My question's gonna seem not very interesting after that. But
Nails in my pee hole.
yeah, I
That's
don't know
the
if I
name
can
of
follow
the
that up.
song we do.
Mine's a songwriting question. So
Love it.
I was just wondering, like, since you moved to Nashville, what would you say was something you learned about songwriting that took your songwriting up a level?
Ooh.
Maybe from another writer or something.
Oh man, I don't know. I think just being around so many great songwriters and just wanting to be as good as them and make them proud. I mean, getting to write with guys like Tom Douglas, and just wanting to write songs that, like, if he heard, he'd be like, man, that's a good song. I think that's kind of been just kind of the MO of, like, man, writing songs that would make guys that I love, Dean Dillon, something that'd make Dean Dillon proud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think just digging for something from the heart, and just trying to say something that those guys hadn't already said, which is not much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know anything specific. That's tough.
Do you keep your song ideas on a notebook or on a phone?
Yeah, they're in my phone. They're in my
Yeah.
phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about depleted right now. I've been writing so daggum much. I did a little writers camp 2 weeks ago. We wrote like 10 songs in 4 days. So I was depleted.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, my brain was mush.
Yeah, I've come out of those things, man, and just hit writer's block and
Yeah.
just get stuck and just
Yeah.
mean, when you write your well dry.
Yeah.
What I call it.
Yeah, I for
I've
sure.
done it.
I learned a lot during that camp though. A few weeks ago, or this was 2 weeks ago, I did this. Being in a place of like, I wouldn't call not pressure, but you want to write a good song, and there's like, you're in this house on a retreat. There's 3 other rooms that are writing a song, and you're in this room writing a song, and you know those 3 rooms are going to get a really good song. So you want to get a good song too. But being a little pressure, but also in a place like at the end of the week when your brain is kind of mush. I learned something about myself that you can write a good song when it's hard to do so. Like,
Oh yeah.
like when my brain felt like mush and I was like, I do not want to go in here and attempt to write a song because there's no way I'm going to get anything good. I don't know, man. You just dig deep, and I mean, I feel like I wrote some of the best songs that week.
But sometimes you come out of them and you don't even realize how good it is until you get away from it for a little
100%.
bit. I mean, because you're just so trapped in the moment, you just feel like you're grinding it out.
Yep.
That's why I have so much respect for the guys that do it every day. And you're kind of teetering back and forth on being an artist and doing that. But the guys that do it 5 days a week, that are writing it, 10 o'clock and 2 in the afternoon, that are doing multiple writes a day.
I'm not doing that. I write 3 or 4 songs a week.
Yeah, but there's guys, these publishing guys are grinding it out, baby, and going out on the road. I mean, that's what I mean. I learned so much from Paul Nelson and Larry Boone, but they'd come out and stay on the road for weeks at a time, and we would just write every freaking day and grind it out. Just learning about the imagery of songwriting and being able to paint those words and put the brush strokes on them where you can close your eyes and you can smell it and you can see it and you can touch it and taste it. Man, there's a gift to that, dude.
Yeah,
and everybody don't have it. Once you kind of get the structure down and realize, there's a method to verse, chorus, just get your structure down, man. It kind of the structure of the song kind of becomes like a term paper to me.
Yeah.
And if I can visualize the subject matter, it usually just falls out. Yeah. The days that I struggle with writing is when I can't see it in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the struggle with that comes with like whatever else is going on in your life.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if when life is busy, I try not, this sounds crazy, obviously, but like when I'm super busy with whatever, I try like not to write. Because a lot of times I'll write when I am busy, and I don't really write good songs because I'm already thinking about, all right, well, when this is over with, I'm going to have to go do that, and then I got to do that, and then I got bus call tonight. Like when all that's going on, I really don't write good songs.
Give me your top 3 songs from when you were in high school, not from your favorite artist or whatever, as a songwriter. As you look and you see the structure and you see that tapestry in your mind, give me your favorite 3 songs from a songwriting perspective.
Lord have mercy. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna go just the stuff I grew up on. I mean, Miami, I love that song. It's just, takes me there. In Color.
That's on my list too.
In Color would be one of those.
Definitely.
What else? I mean, man,
but it's just a huge thing to draw from. I know.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm such a student of the art. I mean, there's probably more like B-side songs that that are those for me.
Yeah.
But
just think about Dean Dillon's catalog and go through that, and you've got Marina Del Rey, you've got Unwound,
The Chair,
the list is huge. Their Oceanfront Property, and then you got like Chris Christopherson.
Dude, somebody sent me yesterday. Somebody sent me a Dropbox of Bob McDill demos.
Really?
Yeah, I hadn't dug into it yet, but I can't wait to.
You know, that's something that I haven't done in a while. But several years ago, I would go back and find some of those older obscure artists like Red Lane, and go to Sony Tree, where they were staff writers there. You know, Paul Nelson, Larry Boone, some of those guys, Bobby Braddock. They things get lost because they have such an influx, and you got some intern in there archiving stuff when they get the demos, the mixtapes, and everything done. It's so easy to lose songs.
Think about how many
they have
massive songs are just sitting down there and ain't been heard
in the basement of that building. That until you go asking for them, you got to dig them things back out sometimes.
Dude, there's one. So when I was cutting this record, I started talking about cutting this record. I went to Rusty Gaston at Sony and a few different others, and I was like, I want some songs from the 90s that ain't nobody heard. And there was one that he played me, and I was like, all right, I want to cut that. And I shuffled my feet so long and cut my record, somebody else heard it and it got cut. And it's a great cut. Ernest and Lainey Wilson cut it, and it's a Dean Dillon song called I Would If I Could.
No,
you heard
kidding.
this?
Hadn't heard it.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's like, I would if I could, but I can't, so I won't, but I won't.
That sounds like Dean, don't it? Yeah.
Oh, it got his melody all over.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. But man, I think about that. I'm like, that song was written however long ago. And how many of those are just sitting down there on Music Row?
There's lots of them.
And we won't ever hear them.
Well, unless artists think to go ask for those catalogs.
But I don't even know if anybody that works down there even knows that.
They don't.
They just got to go listen to them, I guess.
Or you just got to say, go find me everything that you can find in the basement by this songwriter.
Yeah.
I mean, and just have them go dig them out, man. Because they're down there. There's lots of them.
There's a song. Do you know Wyatt McCubbin?
I do. I've written with Wyatt.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a stud.
He's a freaking stud, man.
He's one of my closest friends, and he's one of the best songwriters in this town.
Great melody guy, great lyrics.
So
he's so freaking good, man.
So I was on a writer's retreat with him a few years ago, and he just knows good songs, like just songs that you've never heard of. He's like, have you ever heard this? And he'll play it, and I'm like, no. But he played me a song one night that Tom Douglas, Tony Lane told him about it.
I love Tony Lane's work, man.
And he, Wyatt pulls his guitar out and he's like, listen to this song Tony Lane told me about. And Tony Lane had told him about it, and Wyatt went and found it on YouTube and by somebody. But it's been cut a few times, but it ain't never been cut the way that Wyatt played it for me right there in that living room. But it's called, it's called 2117 or something like that. 2117. But it was I don't know who it was written by, but it was written by one guy. And I'm telling you, it is the most perfectly written country song I've ever heard in my life. Because this guy tells the story. He tells two stories in one song. He's telling the story of a football game that's happening, and also a guy getting his heart broke.
That's interesting.
Simultaneously. He's literally telling two stories at one time.
How does he resolve that? Does he bring them together with an analogy or something? Or do they both stay in their individual lane? Just goes back and forth?
It's like, this is what was happening when this happened.
Wow.
So the guy's getting his heart broke while the football game's happening.
Was that a Tony Lane song?
It was not. I can't remember what the guy's name. The guy's passed away now. But the song was cut a few times, but it was honestly, and I don't know, maybe the guy's demo was kind of up tempo, because the few cuts that I've heard of it are kind of up tempo.
Yeah.
But Wyatt McCubbin sat there and just played it and just sang the dog crap out of it. And I mean,
of course, Wyatt can sing the freaking phone book too.
He can.
Yeah.
But here's what I have a work tape of Wyatt singing it, and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, that's really freaking cool.
I'm telling you, it's a great. I need to find out who wrote that song. I don't know his name. It was somebody that I didn't really know. You would probably know him, maybe.
Think about this, and I ponder on this a lot too. We've grown up in a day and age where commercial music has been a part of our lives. We've experienced it. We've listened to it on the radio. We've learned song structure from it. We learned how to write. We've learned how to sing by emulating all of our favorite artists over the years. Go back to the days of Hank Williams Sr. before he had anybody to influence him. And he's writing all these songs, and he's not hearing stuff on the radio. I mean, it's a different day and age. You're not exposed to all that stuff. Think about being in that place without having any influences to draw from, being able to do that.
I know.
Isn't that an amazing concept?
It is.
I mean, it's just different for us now.
Reese Wilson.
Reese Wilson.
You know that name?
I know. Yes, I know Reese
That's
Wilson.
who wrote this song. Wow. I just asked Wyatt.
Wow. Tell Wyatt I said hello.
I will. I will.
We've written quite a few songs together over the
Dude,
years.
he's a great. He came out to the house last week, and we wrote out at the house. We wrote a really good song.
What do you have going on next? You winding down for the year?
Yeah, I've got. I leave this weekend. I got a little headline show down in Atlanta. Doing that. I've got some dates with Cody Johnson.
I haven't met him
this
yet.
year. Oh,
I'd like to
great
meet
dude.
him. I've heard everything I've heard about him is awesome.
I got to write with me and Wyatt wrote with him a few months back. Well, that's probably last year, end of last year.
Yeah,
maybe a year ago. I brought Wyatt out on the road to write, and it was a weekend I was on the road with Cody. And Wyatt had some cuts with Cody, and I texted Cody. I was like, "Hey, Wyatt's out on the road with me. If you got a hankering to want to write something," and he did, and he was like, "Yeah." So, buddy, man, we went and wrote some good stuff, some good songs. But no, Cody's a great dude. I'll tell you what. I've seen a bunch of live shows. Cody Johnson puts on the best live show I've ever seen.
I can't wait to see him. I hope we get a chance to work with him soon, man. I've heard great things about him.
I mean, he's incredible.
All your social stuff. Where's all your accounts?
Yeah,
Drew Parker.
At Drew Parker Plays. You can find me on all my socials there. Come watch me singing to a camera on some TikToks, I guess. But come follow along with my family, man. That's my pride and joy, and the whole reason I even do this.
Brother, thank you for giving me a little time.
Oh, dude.
Pleasure getting to know you
too,
and
man.
having some good conversation.
Yeah, you too.
Drew Parker.
Thank you.